Are we recording on the Zoom?
Yeah, we're on the Zoom.
Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live on this President's Day from the Smut Studio in Venice Beach, California, with my co-host, Joey No Chill Prano.
Happy President's Day, Andrew.
Dude,
Lots of Andrew presidents, right? At least one. Andrew Jackson. Is there other Andrews?
I think that's it.
Really?
Not a big fan. A lot of people are not a big fan of Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, he hasn't. His resume doesn't exactly hold up after.
Well, you know how they say that tweet didn't age well?
Yeah.
That presidency did not age well.
Yeah.
Killed.
But by the way, there's a lot of people who are big Andrew Jackson fans as well. I'm sure there's a lot of people like, it's just a statue. Leave it up.
Killed lots of Aaron's people.
Yeah. Rip Aaron. Rip Twerks with Wolves.
Is Aaron still alive?
I don't know. You were the last one to see
Yeah.
Aaron. I know a lot of people are probably like, what are you talking about? Well, we nicknamed Aaron Twerks with Wolves on the live podcast, the live broadcast for the All-Star game on Saturday. You went out with him. We drank a lot. We talked about a lot of different things. And a lot of people are like, where is it? Why can't I watch it? To which my answer is, hey, the Dirty Sports is it's the Wild West of podcasting. Some things are going to be live forever. Some things are going to be live for a minute. Some things will be pulled down while we're still doing them. You want to see and hear everything that the Dirty Sports Podcast can provide? I highly recommend you go to YouTube right now, subscribe to our channel, and set yourself up for notifications when we go live. Don't miss it.
Well, I'll just say this much about Saturday's live debacle. I'm going to use the word debacle.
Oh, I disagree, but okay.
We did the NBA Saturday three-point and slam dunk competition, which lasted about 2.5 hours. We continued to go on for another 2 hours. I was straight comatose.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple points of the video. I was so stoned. I was hitting the vape pen. The edible just destroyed me, where I wasn't talking for long periods of time.
Right.
I couldn't even hold the microphone. It was like yin and yang. You were all worked up on the Maker's Mark, so you were high energy, no chill, in its finest, where I was stoned, Ruther, and it was the differences between alcohol and cannabis. And I'll just say this to add on to what Joe just said. Yeah, you got to be there live, because I made what I would deem a business decision to yank that off YouTube to protect a lot of things.
Yeah, including our new intern.
Yes.
Who we're not trying to throw under the bus his first day.
That was a major protection.
Yeah, he was sitting here.
Yeah.
Possibly some guilt by association. I've given up any hopes of having an actual job in life. It's part of the beauty of being Joe Prano. You ain't got, if you don't have to worry about people going like, hey, you got to go talk to HR, you can say whatever you want. This guy, he hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So, by the way, how about this sign?
Lots of comments on YouTube about the sign.
The hot sign. Look at this thing. It's a light-up sign.
By the way, this is a work in progress, just so everybody knows. The set's
under construction. This is the first piece.
Yeah.
This is the foundation, and now everything will go around that. We just had to put some other shit back up today so that we could get this thing going. But basically, this is the next time you tune in, there's only 3 things that will for sure be here. Joe Prano, Andy Ruther, and this sign.
Yeah.
What else will be here? Hard to say.
Can we say Bill Walton's jersey?
Bill Walton's probably going to be it, but can't say for sure.
Okay.
But it's highly likely that the GOAT's jersey will remain somewhere in the shot.
Yeah. I appreciate all the comments about the sign. I saw a comment that said the Smut Studio is getting too nice.
Wow. Well, this sign's got a great story, but we'll save it for another time, because we got a hot short show today. We did 4 hours on Saturday night. If you missed it,
4.5.
Sorry.
It was 4 hours and 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I very hazy on.
Yep.
Are you hazy on some things?
I'm hazy on some things. But
Joe's point of all this is, if you subscribe on YouTube, you had it.
Yeah. You were there.
And it was left up for a good 12 hours.
Yeah.
You had 12 hours to rewatch the NBA All-Star game, and God knows what my neighbors think.
Yeah. Well, they know we believe in freedom over here at the Dirty Sports Podcast. I can tell you that.
They do. It is President's Day. Before we jump in, we'll do some NBA talk, All-Star Weekend. Last night was funny for me. I tweeted this out. I went to a Serbian restaurant in Culver City.
Yeah, which was just the text that you sent me. I'm like, you eat Taco Bell and Takoya. You eat basically 5 different taco spots. How you ended up in a Serbian restaurant, how you ended up in Culver City, I mean, it's right here, but, like, how often are you more than 1.5 miles from the beach?
Well, here's the thing.
Now you got your car. You're exploring.
I do.
You're exploring L.A.
Last night was the first time.
Culver City.
Last night was the first time I had 2 people
you
in my
pack
car.
a bag just in case you got fucking stuck.
No. Well, here's the deal. I actually am always down to try food.
You're like Kramer on Seinfeld. He gets lost downtown.
I'm always down to try food.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing about me. I will never say off limits. I'll try anything. So the mayor and
I had tongue tacos the other day. I told you that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd love to try that. The mayor said, "Hey, I'm going out with my girl." He popped up here. They wanted to check in on see how big of a disaster my 6-drawer IKEA thing was happening, and it just wasn't happening. So he said, let's go out. Let's go. I want to show you this restaurant. I think you'll like it. It's a good spot to take girls on a date. So we go. It's a small restaurant in Culver City called Metro Cafe. It's really good food. Who sits down with his family 2 tables away? Fucking Boban.
Bobby, back in L.A. on All-Star break.
You know, he's just traded. His family still probably lives here.
Yeah.
Watching a 7'3" NBA player, and by the way, the ceiling was not high in this restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a very small restaurant.
I can say from having been in the Clippers locker room with the great Chris Wilde on the Clipcast and standing next to Boban while he was sitting down, he is the biggest human being I've ever seen in real life.
Ever.
By a significant amount.
So he sits down just 2 tables, like basically right next to me, because the table between us was empty. And, yeah, him sitting down, he's like taller than me standing up, basically.
Yeah.
And he had to duck just to get in the doorway.
Now, what is Serbian food?
So here's what I had last night. It was like a lamb meal, and it was still attached to the bone with some pasta.
Go together like lamb and tuna fish.
Yeah, it had some tomatoes around it. It was really good. It's a mix. It's not all Serbian food,
Right.
but there was a lot of Serbians in the restaurant.
Got it.
You know, the guy waiting our tables was Serbian. There was his table was only speaking Serbian. So I was curious though because I was telling the mayor and his lady, I'm like, "Yo, he plays for the Sixers. He just got traded." They didn't know who he was. I'm like, "Look how tall the guy is.
Yeah.
7'3" guy. He plays in the NBA." But then the debate came up about taking pictures with celebrities, and we all agreed you never ask anybody while they're eating.
No. Yeah, that's just pretty rude.
That was rude.
Yeah.
And we were debating if you really wanted to get a picture with somebody, what's the move? And the mayor's girlfriend actually had a great idea. She said she did this once. She didn't. She works in the industry, so she doesn't really care about that stuff. But she goes, one time I basically waited until they were done. I got dessert. I waited it out until they were walking, to be like, can I get a quick picture?
Yeah.
And I said, I think that's a good move. But the mayor posed a good question, which I thought was, is there anybody that I would interrupt their meal or really be like, I'd really mean a lot to me to get a picture with?
I don't think there's anybody whose meal I'd interrupt for anything.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if there's like the list of people who I'd even ask for a picture with in any situation is pretty low. Like I'd more likely go up to somebody that I like really admired, if I saw David Letterman or Bill Murray or, somebody whose work I really admire and tell them that I really admire their work.
Yeah.
Because that would be for me, and I feel like a picture is for everybody else. You're like, oh, now I'm going to put it on social media. Look who I ran into. Oh, it's so cool, blah, blah, blah. Was he
Sure.
a nice guy? And it's like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, sometimes when you have an opportunity and you get to do it, great. Like a lot of times after my shows, DirtBalls will want to take a picture. Of course, I'm always happy to take a picture after shows. Like you came, you supported, whatever. But I'll give some DirtBalls some credit too. A lot of times I'll be like, hey man, do you want a picture? Because you could tell that they do,
Yeah.
but they don't want to ask.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like I wouldn't want to put people out. I don't think there's anybody like that if it didn't feel normal or right that I asked a picture with. And like I can't think of anybody I'd interrupt
Yeah.
for anything.
Well,
I said to you before the show, I was like, I think maybe the only person that I'd interrupt or like want to grab a picture with, if I saw, I'd just be like, I have to do this, would be like RZA.
yeah.
I'd be like, I feel like we have a connection, me and RZA. I feel like we'd be best friends. I feel like he needs to know that. We have the same birthday, 10 years apart. He's like I've said before, I think RZA is my spirit animal. I might have to tell him that I made a playlist called RZA is my spirit animal.
For me, athlete-wise, it'd be Eric Davis. He was the first poster I ever had, the first Cincinnati Reds player that I became just a huge fanboy of. Like, Eric Davis, for me, would be a guy where it would mean a lot to take a picture with. But last night, I definitely had a moment. They were done eating. He was there with his 2 kids and his wife. Wife, very attractive, by the way. And I just kept thinking, I'll just be honest, I kept thinking, small Serbian woman, 7'3" Serbian man, how does this work sexually? You know, she's probably 5'5".
Yeah.
He's 7'3".
It works just like you think it works.
It's got to be difficult.
I mean, his dick's not bigger than a baby.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, like, there's a precedent for things being able to go in and out of that.
But, you know, they were just chilling there. They were done with their meal. The kids were kind of playing. I definitely had my spot.
It's probably bigger than a preemie baby. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's probably close to the size of a baby.
So I could
Probably
have.
has a 4-pound dick.
I bet for sure he would have taken a picture with me, but I just also thought, nah.
Yeah.
NBA All-Star Weekend, let him enjoy the night off.
Like if I went to an LA restaurant and I saw somebody I really admired, and then I'm waiting for my car at valet after, and I'd be like, hey, we're both fucking standing here. You know what I mean?
But I'm definitely more ballsy than you with that stuff.
Yeah, I just have no use for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do I do once I have it? I put it in a scrapbook, put it on Instagram.
See, the one thing I kind of regret is it's not even about that. To me, a funny picture would be me holding my baby hands next to Boban's 7'3" man hands.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a funny picture.
Sure.
Not just to be like, hey, you know, I'm a huge fan, which, come on. I'm not a huge Boban fan. I'm not against Boban.
He's fucking amazing.
He's actually a low-key, underappreciated part of that trade, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's talking about Tobias Harris.
I mean, I think
as far
true
as
NBA fans
adding depth
do appreciate his part of that trade. I think from a casual fan standpoint, they're like, oh, because he's moved around so much. But he's an underrated part of that trade, even from like a personality standpoint. Like people love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already he's the kind of guy, he goes in the game, he makes a shot, like the crowd goes wild. Like it's good for fucking.
He's a fan favorite. He's a team favorite. You're right. He brings good energy to the team.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the All-Star games?
I watched a little bit of the All-Star game yesterday. I had 2 shows, so I left right around the end of the first half of the All-Star game for shows. I was listening to it in the car on the radio, but it's a All-Star basketball game. I
still don't like the system.
What system? The drafting of the teams?
Team LeBron, Team Giannis.
I like it. I think it makes for interesting. You would prefer what? Just East-West?
Yeah, I like the traditional East-West.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the East-West thing got tired because basically no one gave a shit. And this way, at least there's some sort of camaraderie that comes with, you know, one guy picking you versus the other guy and all the reasons why. Obviously, a big thing that everybody's talking about this weekend is LeBron took all the free agents to be. And was this some sort of all-star game team? Which, by the way, that's the greatest part about the NBA is now, like, being propped up so much by the behind-the-scenes stories, the NBA Twitter, all that stuff. Like, I feel like more people follow that shit than actually follow the league.
Yeah, the social media is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and the stories and where's everybody going to go. And I get it. Everybody just is like, oh, the Warriors are going to win. Fine. Okay. But to me, it's still interesting. Like, I'll watch, a fucking New Orleans Pelicans Nuggets game that's on tonight because all the other games end and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll put that on. Like, to me, the NBA is very enjoyable as compared to other sports. Like, I can watch a random basketball game, maybe not in comparison to the NFL. Obviously, every NFL game is matter, but like baseball, I will watch way more NBA, two teams I don't care about, than two baseball teams I don't care about.
Yeah. Well, I saw an interesting stat. The NBA All-Star Saturday, which again we called. You know what we could do, by the way? I still have the raw footage, the 4.5 hours of YouTube. I have that. We could do a highest bidder fee. Non-disclosure.
Interesting.
Just tossing it out there.
Yeah. We could also do like a
Edited version.
an edited highlights for, that we'll put up if we get more of a universal kind of like if we crowdfund Nick D'Alessandro's editing fee.
It's a good point too.
4.5 hours.
By the way, I audio recorded that too.
Great.
So I'm just saying.
I feel like you're trying to blackmail me here. Are you like highest bidder?
No,
or it gets released.
No. Because you already said we're in a guilt by association age.
Right.
I blackmail you. I'm blackmailing myself.
Right.
There's no point in that.
It's mostly the kid.
It's mostly.
You can't be stealing. We've already stolen his land. We can't steal his future.
Yeah. I mean that hit me mid live stream. I was like, holy shit. Twerks with Wolves.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Law
You'll
career.
take my eyebrows, but you'll never take my freedom.
But what I was going to say initially was the NBA All-Star Saturday had lower ratings than the Home Run Derby of this previous summer. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because here we are, everyone's saying, oh, nobody watches baseball. Rob Manfred's trying every way to change the longest running sport in this country. To me, that does say something that, hey, people still do care.
Yeah.
And I know they're two different events, but you take the two main all-star events that aren't the actual games, and the fact that the Home Run Derby had higher ratings.
I'm certain, by the way, on a global scale, more people watch the basketball.
Okay, on a global scale.
Yeah.
I'm just talking states, though.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that there's something to weekend versus weekday. Prime, like that was Saturday. It was a Saturday night on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the NBA, and it starts at 5, but that's 8. It started out 5 here, it started on 8 in the East Coast. It's like I remember even being, in high school and college and having to like VHS record it or DVR it because I'm gonna go out.
Yeah.
And same thing, like every year, I watch the Home Run Derby because it's like it's a Tuesday. I guess I'm watching the Home Run Derby. Like, what else is there on?
Sure.
Especially in the middle of the summer when baseball's the only thing happening. But look,
because we all agreed though that this year's slam dunk contest was lame.
I think they got to. I think they got to do away with all the props. I think they've got to like focus on. Like, I hate to say that. Like, I mean, the bottom line, what it comes down to is like. They have guys who are not interesting from a name standpoint. So then these guys have to do it like
you need stars.
Giannis said, "Oh, maybe dunk contest next year," and then Donovan Mitchell said, "If you're in, I'm in," and it's like now we're talking. Not that those guys don't have the ability to dunk, but it's like if you need to jump over a fucking model airplane,
yeah, I agree. I mean, and everybody roasted it on social media.
Yeah.
People didn't like it.
Yeah.
I mean these it's turning into a Broadway play.
I remain that hey, make it so the basket can go up. Put a piece of tape down and say if you jump from behind the free throw line. Like to me, if you can jump, if Giannis can two-hand from behind the free throw line or if somebody can 360 from the free throw line, you're going to get my 10 over jumping over a plane every day of the week. We've already seen it. How many things have to be jumped over? So Shaq's been jumped over. Dwight Howard's been jumped over. Dwayne Wade's been jumped over. They've jumped over a car. They've jumped over a plane. They jumped over a fucking J. Cole. They jumped over. It's like, we get it. You jumping over something no longer impresses me.
I mean, it was pretty offensive, though. I don't know why more people aren't talking about the fact that he purposely jumped over the Twin Towers and kicked them with his foot.
Yeah.
Very offensive.
Yeah.
As someone who has been accused of perpetrating 9/11, trying to steal my thunder, bro? Who was that, bro? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
I couldn't even tell you who was in the dunk.
This year?
We sat here and we watched.
Oh, well, it was Dennis Smith. It was Amadou Diallo. It was who else did we have? See, I mean, well, in my defense, I got blackout.
That's what I'm saying. I was blacked out, stoned.
Yeah.
How about that tweet I put out from Aaron? We go to the bar afterwards. He looks at me and he goes, "Who won the 3-point contest?"
Yeah, that's amazing.
I go, "Bro, we watched the whole thing."
Yeah.
The white guy, Joe Harris.
Joe Harris. Shout out to Alex Bresler. He's going to rebuy the Nets with his winnings.
Amazing. Yeah, Aaron learned. I think intern Aaron. I don't know where he's at right now, but I think he learned that he could not go shot for shot with you.
A lot of people have learned that lesson over the years.
I was comatose. He was comatose. We got to the bar. He lasted maybe half a drink. Said, "I need to leave."
Yeah.
And we've never heard from him again. So, Aaron, it was
works with Wolves.
It was a good 2-episode run.
Yeah, 2-episode and a live podcast run.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Live broadcast.
Is there any other NBA stuff that we want to cover? Obviously,
there was rumors that James Dolan was courting offers for the Knicks, which was the excitement today. I saw it tweeted a bunch, and then I heard that Bill Simmons talked about it on his podcast. I listened to 3 minutes of that podcast on the way over. That apparently what Bill Simmons was saying is he's trying to sell the Knicks, but just the Knicks. So what's happened in the past is somebody has owned Madison Square Garden and everything. Like, so the Knicks, the Rangers, the building.
Don't forget the Liberty.
Yeah, the Liberty, the circus. Basically everything that goes on in the Garden. And the report from Bill Simmons that I heard, and I don't know if he's the only person that is reporting it, is that he was just trying to sell the New York Knicks. Now, just since we started the show, Dolan has put out, or the Knicks have put out a statement. It's 100% false, and I mean, who knows? But it would be the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
How long has he owned the Knicks?
Like
late 90s.
Yeah, or early 2000s.
2002 or something.
Yeah.
Who owned the Knicks before Dolan?
I forget. I mean, it's passed through a couple hands in my lifetime.
They're still, Forbes just released the most valuable sports franchises,
and then
they're still the most valuable sports franchise,
right? And that's a very, that article. Like, I don't know what that number entails. Like, I don't know if that means if you
own Madison Square Garden
right,
too,
all that stuff.
I think it's just the team.
Yeah,
it's the New York market.
Probably. I mean, again, we've seen this with the Dodgers. We've seen this with the Clippers. Like, if they valued him at $4 billion, he could probably get even more than that. Yeah. So we'll see. It'd be fantastic. It'd be a great time for it to happen if they get, they're going to have a top 3 pick. So, free agency.
I always wonder what goes through the minds of a lot of these owners, because take somebody like James Dolan. He has to know. He's despised. He's hated.
Do you know how James Dolan made his money? Do you know where all the stuff?
I don't know anything about him.
Right, exactly. You only know his name because he's the owner of the New York Knicks.
That's what I'm saying. As someone who...
That's what's going through his mind, is who am I if I don't own this team?
This is what I know about James Dolan. I know he owns the Knicks, and he plays in a shitty band.
Yeah. And he owns the Rangers, and he owns Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
And he made all his money from Cablevision, and he's.
But the reason I'm bringing that question up, and it's not just James Dolan. It's these owners that are hated. It's like the Mike Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals. It's these various owners that are despised, that no one likes, they have to know that, and does that just not bother them? Because at the end of the
I think on a certain level,
is it some sort of ego thing? I'm just trying to put my
on a certain level, you've convinced yourself that like you only are hearing the negative. Like I believe Donald Trump thinks that he's well liked, even though his approval rating is trash.
But hold on, even Donald Trump has his diehard supporters. That's my point.
Right.
There are no diehard James. They just don't exist. There's no one out there who's a New York Knicks fan who's like, yeah, James Dolan's a great owner. That's my point. You have certain owners that are vehemently hated, and he's one of them. So I'm just trying to understand the psyche of why are you even holding on to this team? If you could sell the Knicks for $5 billion, what's the thought process?
Well, I think the thought process is, what am I? Right? That's why I'm assuming, if there is any truth to it, he's trying to just sell the Knicks. Then he can still have Madison Square Garden. He can still put on the Billy Joel concert once a month. He can still have the Rangers. He can still have, the circus. He can still have fucking ice capades. He can still have whatever.
Yeah.
He can still have, everything that they do. And he can still be, I'm James Dolan. That's why there's probably some truth to it, because he's hated by Knicks fans. So he's like, fine. Well, now I get to get rid of the Knicks. I get $5 billion, and I get to keep my clout. Because if the question is, why doesn't he just sell everything and get, $40 billion for the whole shebang? It's like, because then he's just the rich dickhead in the band again that no one will go see.
Yeah. I just owners in general, I think it's an interesting dynamic because most of these men have always been successful financially in the business world, in the private sector, right? But then they own teams that fucking suck. And the argument is, do they just not care? Is the bottom line for them just the money that they're making?
I think a lot of times it's that they care so much that they don't leave it to people who know what the fuck they're doing. Like James Dolan wants to be known as the guy who fucking turned the Knicks around. That's why he's always like, we got to trade for Carmelo. We got to do it. He wants to come here, and he forced that trade. And it's like, man, Donnie Walsh actually knows basketball. You should have let Donnie Walsh run that fucking team. And because you didn't, you actually set the Knicks back again. And then it was like, oh, fuck, I fucked that up. Now I'm going to pay Phil Jackson all the money and say he can do it. And then he fucked that. It's like.
But my argument would be, again, this is for all owners.
Everybody wants to be Mark Cuban.
But hold on. That's a great example. Even Mark Cuban, all these owners were business savvy before they owned a franchise, right?
Yeah.
And most of these people all understood it doesn't take one person to run a company. It's a group of people. So my argument is, take Jerry Jones, for example. Jerry Jones is a successful businessman. He amasses all this money, enough to buy the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones obviously had other people who helped build him into Jerry Jones. Why is it suddenly then when they own a sports team, they take all that they've learned and that has helped them become successful, and they throw it aside and say, no, I'm going to help decide.
Because no one.
Why is it just that business?
Because who's the biggest oil baron in Texas right now?
Is it
who fucking knows?
T-Poon Bickens or something?
Who's the biggest
Pickens,
shipping
what's his name?
baron? Nobody knows. Who's the biggest whatever? But we all know George Steinbrenner owned the Yankees.
Yeah.
We all know Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys. The reason is because this is who he is. It is so much more important to people who owns the Cowboys than who's making the most money on oil in Texas. That's why they do it. Everybody wants to be Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, tech guy, sold a bunch of things. No one would know who Mark Cuban is if Mark Cuban didn't own the Mavericks, get in trouble for fucking talking shit to refs, getting fined. That turns into Shark Tank. Shark Tank turns into that's what everybody wants to be. Everyone wants to be a famous sports owner.
But even Mark Cuban.
That's why the people who are going to buy the Knicks, that's why you're going to hear Puff Daddy. That's why you're going to hear fucking all these guys.
Jay-Z.
Yeah. That's why you're going to hear all these guys that want to make a name for themselves.
But Mark Cuban, that's my point. Mark Cuban took the Dallas Mavericks franchise, which was a joke, right?
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
It was the armpit of the Western Conference in the NBA. He turned them into a respectable franchise, obviously won a title, but he also hired other people. That's my point.
Right.
Mark Cuban is very hands-on, but he also understands, hey, I'm a hardworking dude from Pittsburgh who made my money from broadcast.com. I can't evaluate talent. Now, am I going to be an asshole to the refs? Am I going to be there? Yeah. He was the first owner to pretty much ever do that. And I love Cuban. I'm a huge fan of Cuban.
Yeah.
My point is, Jerry Jones isn't doing what Mark Cuban did from a managing the team perspective. Like Jerry Jones, I mean, there's still rumors this last Cowboys season that Jerry Jones and his, kids who are running the show are in the ear of Jason Garrett on play calling. That's absurd to me.
Well, that's first of all,
you're an 85-year-old dude.
First of all, he's the GM. Second of all, it's why Jason Garrett's the coach.
Exactly.
Yeah, and everybody wants, Jerry Jones is a lunatic narcissist that has a the Jones bus that he's driving around. He's fucking, that's what he wants. He wants to make the Cowboys champs, just like he did when he fucking took over originally, and he wants all the credit for it.
But, again, what I don't understand...
If Jerry Jones wasn't a lunatic, Jimmy Johnson would still be the coach of the Cowboys to this day.
And that's a great point. And it's wild that he couldn't keep a guy who was winning.
Who was his fucking college teammate. Who's like his buddy.
That's true. Going back to the Arkansas days, I forgot about that. But my point, which I said earlier, Prano, to come back to that, is you're Jerry Jones. You're James Dolan. You're any of these owners. You're Mike Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of these people are smart business people. Again, that's how they got there. If it hasn't worked, take Jerry Jones. Dude, you haven't won a Super Bowl since the mid-'90s. Maybe your shit isn't working. How is he not seeing that? How are these people not seeing that? They saw that in their other businesses.
Right.
Maybe they mix it up. If I'm doing something in my life and it's not working, hey, maybe I should change it up. Maybe I should do something different.
He's Jerry Jones, though. Who's telling him that?
I just don't understand from a just psychological perspective how these owners.
He's the king in the castle. No one's coming out like you get sent to the fucking pit of misery if you say fucking boo to Jerry Jones. You don't get out. You're not on the bus. Dilly, you're off the bus.
Jerry Jones is the king of the Dilly commercials.
Yeah.
It's basically what he is.
And every other megalomaniac billionaire owner as well. They're all these guys.
But they aren't all. That's my point.
But the majority of them are. There's fucking 7 guys who aren't. Steve Ballmer, lunatic. Oh, he's dancing on the sideline. He hired Jerry West. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know anything about basketball. I just want to be a bald, crazy man and sit us under the
But that's my point.
Yeah. But I'm saying there's 7 of them. There's Cuban. There's Ballmer. There's fucking the dude who bought the Warriors. And a lot of them are the new guys who are like have a modern sensibilities.
It's just weird. I just find it weird that they're so good in the business world, and then they enter the sports business.
And half of them, it's like, how good are they in the business world? Like, if you're from a fucking Texas oil family, what do you really got to do? Hope to not run out of oil? He didn't fucking reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Right? Like, give me some fucking oil wells right now. Like, I'll get rich.
Basically, you're saying, give me $1 million. I'm not going to fuck it up.
Yeah. It's, $1 million, like, look at, some of these guys have so much fucking money.
Yeah. Well, for your sake.
Yeah.
And not just your sake. As someone who is a fan of sports, I think it's good for the NBA. I always say this. I firmly believe it's good for the league when a team like the Knicks or the Lakers or the Celtics, big markets, historic teams, are good. It's going to be better for the NBA if the Knicks are good. So it's better if James Dolan is no longer the owner.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. You would think that the fucking Adam Silvers and the Rob Manfreds of the world would be more proactive in taking teams away from, the Dolans and the Wilpons, especially New York teams, but whatever. There's all kinds of backdoor fucking dealings, and obviously we're going to touch on some of the backdoor owner conversations that went on in the NFL that have led to them fucking backing up truck full of money to Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick.
Well, let's do that. But before we do that, I want to say, guys, NBA season, the second half is upon us. Major League Baseball is right around the corner. Spring training's here sooner than later. Hockey's in full bloom. Go to any of these events. But before you do those events, you got to go on SeatGeek.
Yeah. It's the only place to get tickets. The only place. And we've been getting some great tweets. We got a tweet yesterday. Somebody used SeatGeek. They sent me a picture. And once again, I have, over here to my right, you can't see off camera, I have 2 big things full of koozies. If you send me a screenshot using promo code DIRTY from SeatGeek, I will send you not 1, but 2 Dirty Sports koozies in the mail. So DirtBalls, take advantage of this offer right now because you get $10 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code DIRTY today. That's promo code DIRTY for $10 off your first SeatGeek purchase. SeatGeek Life's an event. We have the tickets. I'll tell you what I have been looking for tickets on SeatGeek for. Some spring training games.
Oh.
The annual spring training Dirty Sports trip.
There's rumors that I'm going to be breaking in the new car, the official break-in of the new car, on a road trip to Arizona for the Cactus League.
If you're off from school in March, or if you live in Arizona, or if you want to just see some, if you're down to travel for some spring training games, keep your eye on our Twitter. Keep your eye on your ears on this show. Soon to announce our Cactus League schedule.
Yeah,
with tickets courtesy of SeatGeek.
That's right, Joe Prano. I'm very excited about that. Get those 2 Chainz mixes going for the ride.
Yeah,
Little Juicy J.
Our annual rap mixtape for spring training.
Little ASAP Rocky.
Yeah.
Bank of Venice the other night was playing hot fire late 90s, early 2000s rap hits.
Love it.
You know that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Tons of St. Louis rap.
Wow.
Losing my mind. I'm talking not just Nelly, Murphy Lee, St. Lunatics, Jaquan. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
I don't know who Murphy Lee is.
He's part of the St. Lunatics.
Yeah.
You know what the hook gonna be with Jermaine Dupri, his popular song?
Nothing. I got nothing.
My rap knowledge, I would say I have the most random rap knowledge.
Yeah, you have a very specific, like, Midwest to South love of the rap game.
Oh, love it.
It's so funny. Like in the late '90s, early 2000s, when us New Yorkers were caught up in the East-West rap game, you guys were just hiding in the Midwest. Like, yo, y'all motherfuckers can kill each other all you want. St. Lunatics on the come up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like, well, when they kill each other, the St. Lunatics will be the only ones left.
Jaquan,
just hiding under the arch.
Just so you know the song. You know the song. Everybody in the club getting tipsy.
Yeah,
that's Jaquan.
Okay.
Little one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Little rap knowledge for everybody out there. Okay, let's get into the Colin Kaepernick discussion because it's going to happen, guys. You missed Prano going off on Saturday.
Yeah. I've been smiling about it since it happened. I called it the other night the greatest finesse in history. A guy said cops sucks. Cops suck, and he got paid. Now, we'll never know how much he got paid. Because of a non-disclosure agreement, but you don't have to be a brain surgeon to know him and Eric Reed made a fuck ton of money because they wouldn't have settled otherwise. And
well, there's a lot that we can discuss here.
Yeah,
and there's a lot that I want to discuss. There's a variety of different angles to take on this. One is Prano's right. So all reports are saying between 60 to 80 million.
And that's just a guesstimate. I would honestly think it would be higher.
But my one question would be,
but we'll never know.
We'll never know. Although
we might one day know, but
I was reading articles on that last night. They think this is eventually going to come out.
Yeah.
Which then is a whole other legal matter.
Right.
Who leaked it? Whose camp? Was it the NFL? Was it Kaepernick's lawyers? Well, the one question is.
Well, then I saw the reports that, like, depending on how they did it, like, the Green Bay Packers are a publicly traded team, and that could come out in their reports because they have to put their shit out
so,
there.
So that's a good point. So the Packers being a publicly traded team.
But the NFL's probably considered that and therefore saying, like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to pay out of our funds. And
we're going to be able to figure it out, they said, if the Packers release financial statements, which they have to, because, again, they're a publicly traded team. I am curious what amount Eric Reed got versus Kaepernick. Because Eric Reed has still continued to play in the NFL.
Right. But so the argument was, and obviously the stupid people are making the argument was, oh, if he was being blackballed, how is he still in the league? And the argument to that is, for a few months there, he was apparently so washed like Colin Kaepernick that he didn't deserve any contract whatsoever. But then he gets picked up when somebody gets desperate, and now he's worth $22 million.
Now he gets an additional contract.
Right. So the argument that a guy was 1 minute unhireable by the NFL and the next minute a $22 million safety is actually proof of collusion. And that was one of the things that said that his contract may have helped push this along. And, the bottom line is that the argument that Colin Kaepernick is not in the league because he's not talented enough, the NFL just agreed that is factually incorrect.
Well, yeah, there's a few things here.
So if you're still saying that, please stop. The NFL disagrees with you.
The NFL,
as a league.
This is basically what has happened here. Again, there's a lot of stuff working. The NFL, by paying him, protected themselves in this way. Had this gone to trial, I follow this pretty closely.
Yeah.
Had this gone to trial, there was apparently tons of emails and text messages which would have been leaked. Now, the NFL might have still won the trial, but everything that I've read from all the different websites said this. It would have made the NFL look awful.
Yeah.
Even
again, they were talking about Trump being involved.
Yes,
They're talking about the owners being involved. They're talking about, so many different things that where if it had been exposed, could have basically torn down the fabric of the NFL.
Yes.
Saying that these owners are all, like, when you watch the NFL, you have to believe all these owners are working against one another to try to win a championship. If this shows that they're all working together on something to stop some teams from getting some guy and stop another team from getting, like, there's what they don't want out there that Daniel Snyder says, my team just lost our quarterback, and I'm going to sign the guy. And them saying, if you do, the rest of us are going to make you pay for it.
Yeah. So basically, that's very important that for some reason I think has been lost in the mix of all this, is that had it gone to trial, people had already given – they were already given – is it a deposition when they interview people?
Yeah.
So all these different depositions from owners to Roger Goodell to different people involved, this was already on record.
Yeah.
Emails were on record. Text messages were on record. So the point is this, guys. Had it gone to trial, again, the NFL still could have won, but they ultimately, from a PR perspective, would have lost because they would have had to expose internal documents. So that's very important to know.
And the other
when
thing
discussing
that, the other thing for people, because this is the same thing that happened when, Colin Kaepernick's not playing. People love to make these wild claims about, oh, here's why this, here's why that. Here's the things that are, like, factually incorrect. You're saying, oh, the NFL just didn't want to pay their lawyer fees anymore. It's like, guys, the NFL is paying lawyers 24/7, 365. People are fucking suing them over CTE. People are suing them over fucking, the military shit. People are like, the NFL is not worried about their fucking legal fees. That's nonsensical.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, golden boy of the NFL, was suspended 4 games and was like, I'm going to take you to the Supreme Court. They were like, cool, call us when you get there. We'll have our lawyers ready. And eventually Tom Brady dropped. Like, they're prepared forever to see all these legal matters to the end because they have unlimited funds.
Yeah.
So the idea that they're like, oh, we just want it off our plate. That's nonsense. They didn't want the Tom Brady thing off their plate. They didn't want the, Deflategate off their plate. They didn't want,
Well, what's important here is, again,
CTE. They're not paying off. They haven't settled the CTE case just to have it off their plate so no one's talking about it.
This is the first time, and again, these are all facts. I'm looking at this purely from as objective a point of view as I can. The facts are, this is the first time the NFL has really ever given in. The Tom Brady thing, I'm glad you brought that up. They fought that. And Tom Brady eventually was like, fuck it, I'm going to take my 4-game suspension. So this is admitting two things. One, in a way, the NFL is admitting collusion by giving him money because this is uncharted territory. So,
admitting some level of it.
exactly. So they're admitting.
Maybe not across 32 teams, maybe not across whatever, but they're proving that they don't want, whatever that information is, they don't want people to know about it.
So the NFL is admitting some level of collusion, without a doubt. Like, that's just a fact, or they wouldn't have paid him. I was shocked. I thought for sure this would go to trial. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I was surprised that the NFL paid him out. But I'm also a little disappointed, if I want to be truthfully honest. I would have loved to see it go to trial, to see these emails, to see these text messages, to get the depositions out in the public, because I want to see what really is going on behind the scenes, because that's very interesting to me to expose the NFL.
And that, again, goes back to what you were saying before, which is like they could have still won or they could have lost even less, right? So, like, if you're like the argument that Colin Kaepernick is a sellout is another fucking stupid argument, because it's like if you're his lawyers and you're going like, yeah, we've got enough, and if we go, they decide they're gonna, like, here's the best case scenario: we go, we expose them, they give you $2 million from every team, you guys split $64 million or whatever it is, and you go on your merry way. They're offering you 80, they're offering you 100, like. No one's ever, in the history of anything, ever not taken the deal. And the thing about Colin Kaepernick selling out that people are missing is Colin Kaepernick can say anything he wants, anytime he wants. He can still have his foundation. This has nothing to do with anything but his ability to make a living in the NFL, which is what he was suing them for. So as long as he made more money than he ever could have imagined making those last 2 seasons in the NFL that they didn't let him be there, he wins.
I'm not calling him a sellout, but we'll never know. That I will say that.
Or will we?
We'll never know if this was all about the money. We won't, though. I'm just being honest here from an objective standpoint. We'll never know if this is about the money.
But the point is, here's the thing. It was always all about the money, because he was suing for collusion of keeping him off the field. He accused them of colluding with one another to keep him from playing football. And what he lost in that, because obviously he made Nike money. Obviously he's not getting hurt. What he's saying is, I wanted to play and they wouldn't let me. And the only thing that he gets from playing, because he has plenty of press, the only thing he gets from playing is a paycheck.
Yeah.
So it was always about his inability to make a living because they colluded against him. So it was always about money, because he can go out there and still talk about police. He can still talk about, systematic racism. The NFL has no say over what Colin Kaepernick does as a human being. Only what they had to say over is whether or not they didn't even have a say over whether he could kneel or not on the sideline, which we've already discussed. They don't have a rule over it. He didn't break any corporate laws. He didn't break any team rules. The only thing that they had say over was whether or not he could get hired, and they colluded to have him not hired. And he goes, well, now I made enough money that I would have made if I had been hired. And everybody's saying, oh, it's not worth, he wanted $20 million. How absurd. He probably made more than $20 million for each of those last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's the greatest win in history. Honestly, he took on the Death Star, and the Death Star settled.
I mean, again,
he didn't have to blow it up. They just paid him.
Again, I'm shocked. And I want to say, everyone out there who are quick to say, oh, well, how much is he going to donate to charity, this and that? My stance is this. He's already donated millions. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
So he can do what he wants with his money. For me, looking on the outside in, this is a huge win for players. Like I'm not even talking about the rights. Like, guys, you can argue all you want about the standing for the anthem and police and all that. I'm not even talking about that. My standpoint as a guy who's a fan, a diehard fan of the NFL, is the owners had all these guys by the balls on every aspect of the game. And what this is, if you're a fan of football, you should like this because this gives some sort of
power.
That's the word I'm looking for. Some sort of power to the players who have had zero power, whether it's getting cut on the spot, whether it's the CTE, whether it's the drug stuff. To me, this is the silver lining as someone who loves the NFL is finally some of these guys. We've had these guys on our show. When Ryan Grant comes in our show, when he sits right here and he says, my health insurance is going to run out, a guy who, busted his ass, played in the NFL as an all-pro running back, and you think your health insurance is going to run out? Like,
and
that doesn't make sense to me.
The bigger issue to me also is no single player is like untouchable in the NFL. Not one. Not Aaron Rodgers, not Patrick Mahomes. They suspended Tom Brady for 4 games. The golden boy.
Yeah.
The GOAT by everybody's fucking standards, right? They suspended him for 4 games. He said, I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court. They said, cool. Call us when you get to the Supreme Court. We'll have our lawyers meet you there. Have fun, Tommy boy. Good luck. That's what they said. No one player is bigger than the league. Now, what this proved, right? Because for everybody that's saying, if Colin Kaepernick were good, he'd be playing. Other guys kneeled and are playing. Malcolm Jenkins kneeled. Eric Reed kneeled. This guy kneeled. That guy kneeled. Here is the problem with that argument. No one player is bigger than the NFL. But when 30% of your players are doing something, that's when they suddenly caved. That's when suddenly, okay, cool. Everybody, we thought about having a rule. We're not going to have a rule. Kneel if you want. Guys were still kneeling. It's fine. Because 30% of your players actually do have power. But what they did to Colin Kaepernick, what they tried to do to Colin Kaepernick, is they tried to say, hey, look, you get something going, you try to start this movement, we're not going to be able to stop all of you.
We're going for you.
But the first guy that does it, you're out.
Yeah.
So don't be the spark that lights a fire because we're going to extinguish you. Whatever happens from there, whatever. We can't control all our players. But don't get in your mind that you can be the one that starts some shit because we'll ban your ass from this fucking league. And what that does is that scares players from being the first to get something going. And what Colin Kaepernick did in getting a boatload of cash from them is say, fuck you. You guys can't do that.
Yeah.
You guys can't say, we all agree that any time the first guy steps out of line, fuck that dude. Because they just paid. And anybody saying, oh, even if he did get $100 million, the league has infinite money. The league, the NFL, is a collection of owners. Is 32 owners. There is no league. The league is a conglomerate of 32 corporations acting as one league.
Yeah.
I am friends with people involved in 2 NFL franchises. If he got $100 million, I can tell you for a fact, neither of those people were happy that they woke up and $3 million were gone. They were just like, whatever, $3 million, that's cool. $3 million, regardless, is a fucking lot of money to whoever you are. No one wants to just show up and say, hey, we just paid out $3 million for no fucking reason. You wake up in the morning and there's $3 million missing from your bank account. You're pissed off.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much fucking money you have. So the idea, it's like, oh, they just paid him and now they can move on. Guys, they didn't want to pay him. They were never going to pay him. The only reason they paid him is because they were going to take an L. One way or the other, they were going to take an L. They took a huge L. This is one of the biggest L's in the history of sports. It's changing the power structure.
Yes, and that's the point that I want to get back to. You have to ask yourself this if you're listening or watching our show. Do you want to side with the money-hungry piece of shit owners that we just went in length about earlier, talking about Jerry Jones and James Dolan. Do you want to side with those type of people? Or do you want to side with the players? Because, again, for me, this isn't about the anthem. This isn't about kneeling. This isn't about all those things. It is, and it is, and it isn't. But for me, the bigger picture, like Joe's saying, is this power structure. And as a guy who definitely would like to side more with the players, not the owners who use taxpayer money to build stadiums.
Charge the Department of Defense just to fucking show the flag.
The owners who charge you $15 for a bottle of a beer, or $10 for a bottle of water. So ask yourself this: if you're saying, "Well, fuck you, Ruther, fuck you, Prano, fuck Kaepernick," by doing that, you're saying I side with the rich owners who are charging me $12 for a bottle of water.
But this is where you and I then disagree, because this is the question. If everybody agree, any reasonable person in America that's not a billionaire fucking oil mogul is going to be on the side of, the freedom to make a dollar in America, and is going to be pro free speech in America, and it's going to be pro not losing your right to employment because you have an opinion. Everybody, all those things. How are you still on the other side? That's where I go, well, there's something deeper at work here. You're refusing to admit it. You're refusing to say this is why and just be open about it and say, yeah, fuck that dude for being a fucking loud, proud black man in America. They're afraid to do it, and they keep dancing around the fucking issue. And that's where I'm saying, unless you're a billionaire oil magnate, how are you not on his side? How are you on their side? That's what I don't understand. How are you anti-free speech, anti-Americans having a fucking opinion, anti-players having power? How are you? You're still arguing against it. He's a sellout. They didn't really fucking pay him. Blah, blah. Like, if you're still doing that, my thing is, we all know why you're still against him. You just refuse to say it. That's my issue. When you're still fighting, go on Twitter right now. People are still fighting. They won, he lost. He doesn't want to play. The only reason they paid him is because he wanted to play and they did not let him. That case is over.
Yeah.
It's over. If there was proof he didn't want to play, they wouldn't have paid him. If there was proof that they tried to let him play and he didn't want to, they wouldn't have paid him. They wouldn't have. The NFL has never done it before. They did it this time. The proof is out there. It's out there. He wanted to play. They wouldn't let him. The end. If you're arguing against that still, there's something going on inside you that's refusing you to admit that. And that's where I go, you're probably a racist piece of shit. Or you're a faux patriot who cares so much about the anthem, but you don't care about the freedom that the whole anthem is supposed to stand for and free speech. Like, that's where I'm like, you are like, I disagree with you, but it's like, well, what is it then?
Well,
tell me what it is then.
Well, you and I have our disagreement of, I'm not just going to blanket, and this is where Saturday got real divided. You were worked up. I was fucking baked. I'm not going to just blankly say, you're a racist. All these people are racist. I think, to me, a point that I've stuck by is, you just said it, it's the fake patriotism. It's the faux patriotism. I think if Aaron Rodgers was saying, I'm not going to stand for the anthem, I think all those fucking people in Wisconsin who are like, America, rah, 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 I think they'd be just as offended. I think it's one of these issues, this fake patriotism bullshit, that they've drawn the line, and people, for some reason, they can't differentiate free speech and fake patriotism. But it's also complicated, too, and this is where I think we disagree, too, Prano, of you can have free speech, but I also know legally, my point is, a job could fire you.
Right.
Like I could walk in.
And the case here is that, here's the case here. The case here is 10 guys, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, 27, 28, whatever the number is, guys go, he has that opinion, we don't want to hire him. And 3 guys are like, we kind of want to hire him. And those 29 guys are like, fuck you if you do.
Yeah.
We don't care that you don't have a problem with his opinion. If you do, we're going to fuck you every which way we can. Jerry Jones going, oh, you want to fucking hire him? I will fuck your shit up. I'm the most powerful owner. I own my fucking apparel deal. I own fucking pet. I own the Dallas Cowboys. I own America's team. You hire him, I will fucking end you. And we will all collectively end you. You want to be the 3 guys taking on the other 29? That was what this case was about.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, I don't give a shit about the legality of the First Amendment in this case. I give a shit about the fact that he was punished for having an opinion in the United States of America. That's some fucking North Korea shit. It might not be an opinion you like.
So you're basically saying, let me kind of sum it up. You're saying you don't have to agree with his opinion.
You have to agree with his right to have any fucking opinion he wants. Besides, fire in a crowded theater.
Yeah. But how would you feel, let's say, because the freedom of speech, this is where it gets very blurred, especially where we are at in 2019. Let's say I'm a cashier at Trader Joe's and somebody's being obnoxious to me. I'm checking them out and I call them a fucking cunt. Now, I still have the freedom of speech, but they can fire me for calling them a fucking cunt.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Of course they can. Right? Because you have the number one rule in fucking the service industry is the customer's always right.
Sure.
Now, that Trader Joe's can say, we fired him because he called somebody a cunt. Okay? And you could go try to get hired at fucking Whole Foods, right?
Sure.
And Whole Foods calls up Trader Joe's where you used to work. And they say, why'd you fire this guy? And they go, well, he called this woman a cunt. And they go, Andy, why did you call this guy, this person a cunt? It's like, well, I was working at Trader Joe's, and they came up with their fucking, chocolate-covered boysenberries, and they told me that they didn't want to pay $7.79, that they only wanted to pay $4.99, and I told them, well, that's not the price, and that's not how it works, and we got in a whole big argument, and I called them a cunt. Whole Foods goes, seems pretty reasonable to me. Sounds like they were a cunt. You're hired.
Yeah.
That's capitalism. That's freedom.
Sure.
Whole Foods gets to make the choice, right? Now Amazon is suddenly buying everything, right? So if Amazon owns Whole Foods and owns Trader Joe's and owns fucking, every other shopping thing in America, and they go, you can't hire him. We don't care what you think as a manager. You're not allowed to hire him. Now you're saying we don't have the freedom to make a choice on this person and hear his story and hear why he did that. That's just like, oh, no, I'm going a blanket. If you hire him, we're going to fucking close your store. That's where you're getting into a situation that's happening with Colin Kaepernick. Collusion.
Well, look, I'm taking some flack, and this is kind of annoying me. My opinion hasn't changed since Saturday. So somebody's trying to come at me hard saying, you can come at me all you want, Ryan McClain. My opinion hasn't changed since Saturday. I basically said the same things that I said on Saturday. Granted, I was way more stoned on Saturday, so it probably didn't come out as coherently. My opinion hasn't changed. The difference is what Joe's saying is, I'm saying somebody could not hire you for something, but when 32 people all in unison do that, that's collusion. There's a difference.
And the bottom line is, if they all thought he was not qualified to play in the league anymore, and or his talents were outweighed by the fucking thing, then he wouldn't have gotten anything. Then the NFL would have said, see you in the Supreme Court, just like we told Tom Brady, we'll see him in the Supreme Court. Just like we told everybody that's ever gotten a concussion that has a class action lawsuit against us, that we'll see them in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That we don't care. We have all the money and all the power. Come at us, bros. They are fucking the Matrix gif. They're bring it on. We don't care. We have all the money. We have lawyers 24/7. Bring it on. The reason that they did something wrong. They went out of their way to stop this guy from having a job. And also, this goes back to the same thing. If you're still arguing that 32-year-old Josh Johnson, who had not appeared in an NFL game in twice as long as Colin Kaepernick hadn't, that has one career ever win. if you're saying he's more qualified to be an NFL starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins, who were in first place when Alex Smith went down, ask yourself why you're saying that. No one with eyeballs that understands the game of football believes that's true. So if you're arguing it, why are you arguing that? Why are you arguing something that's factually incorrect? What is it going on in here that's making you say it? Because you see me do this on Twitter. I go down they try every fucking different door, every different angle, and I go, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? Why are you searching so fucking hard when we can all agree he's more talented than the majority of backups in the NFL, that he's more qualified to play, that Tim Tebow got signed 4 times even though he's a media circus, including by Bill Belichick and the Patriots, who hate fucking media circuses. If you're arguing that, what is wrong with you? And if you're not racist, fine. You're just a hyper patriot. Well, guess what? You got to do a little bit more work on what it means to be a hyper patriot in America. Because free speech, it ain't the Second Amendment. It ain't the Third Amendment. It ain't the Fourth Amendment. It's the first.
Yeah.
That was the first one they came up with. Say whatever the fuck you want. Land of the free. Be free. Do whatever you want. Fucking say it. Say anything, but that's something that's going to put fucking people in danger.
And I know this is something close to your heart and obviously mine too. I don't want to be dramatic, but where we're at right now, free speech is under attack. It plain and simply it is.
100%.
Go on any social media, go on anything. It's simply under attack. And I am unabashed on censorship. I've said that forever. I think you should be able to put porn on Twitter, on Facebook. I am for zero censorship. To me, let the individual decide. Let parents control their kids to not look at stuff. I am for unabashed censorship. Once you start the censorship, where does it end? Once you tell me I can't say this word without context.
Colin Kaepernick can't wear pig cop socks. You can't wear a MAGA hat. Colin Kaepernick can't fucking wear a T-shirt with, fucking Fidel Castro on it. You can't wear the fucking, Confederate flag.
But that's my point. You start.
And the thing is, the Confederate flag, some people are like, it stands for this. Some people are like, it doesn't stand for this. Some people are like, it stands for the Dukes of Hazzard. Guess what? If you want to wear a fucking hat with a Confederate flag on it, I don't give a single fuck.
Yeah.
If you want to wear socks with cops that look like pigs on it, I don't give a single fuck. If you want to wear a Fidel Castro T-shirt, I don't give a single fuck. Somebody whose grandfather was murdered by Fidel Castro might come and punch you in the face. Somebody whose grandfather was a slave, if you're wearing a Confederate flag, might come punch you in the face. That's up to you, and that's up to them, and that's up to the law, and that's up to the police, and that's up to whatever. But I don't give a fuck. But if you think that you should be able to wear a Confederate flag, but Colin Kaepernick shouldn't be able to wear a Fidel Castro hat, what you are is racist. That's it.
You're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You're 100% a hypocrite, and I use this example all the time. The hypocrisy is everywhere. We all know what would happen to me if I walked outside the smut studio wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
We all know what would happen to me. What wouldn't happen to me if I walked outside the smut studio wearing an Obama hat. And that's all we're saying, guys. You should be free to wear both hats.
And it's the same. The hypocrisy is everything. The MAGA crowd's favorite word is triggered. I've never seen a group more triggered by novelty socks than the MAGA crowd.
Yeah.
No one's ever been more triggered by socks than the people who are like, oh, you're all such fucking pussy-triggered pussies. The dude had cartoon pigs on footwear, and you guys are losing your fucking mind. You're the most triggered snowflakes. What about his T-shirt? We're talking about his fucking T-shirt now? That's the most snowflake behavior I've ever fucking heard.
Okay, let me pose a scenario. This is from Stanga on YouTube. Would a Somalian refusing to handle scanned pork as a cashier at Target be similar to cap kneeling? Now, I'm assuming you're saying that's a religious belief, refusing to scan pork. at a grocery store, is that the same as Cap kneeling?
How is that? Wait, but I don't understand how. So you're talking about two completely different
I don't
things.
necessarily see it.
We're not talking about Colin Kaepernick kneeling. He didn't start out first downs kneeling for the fucking.
Yeah.
He's kneeling for the national anthem. Like, if a Somalian's at Trader Joe's and you go, "Hey man, I don't charge." Okay, well, you're working in the produce section, I guess. Then.
Yeah.
Right? They're not saying, "Oh, Colin Kaepernick, go do this." "Oh, Colin Kaepernick, go do that." They're like, "You're fucking out of here." And again, this is the most important thing to remember with all the examples that we're giving about cashiers and fucking whatever is Colin Kaepernick didn't do shit between the whistles that started and ended a football game.
But that's important. He was hired.
That was his job, is to play football.
I think that's important. Let's not get that lost in the mix for any of these people. You're hired to play football, right? That's his job. If you're hired to be a cashier and you say, "Hey, I can't handle pork. I can't touch pork." That's part of the job requirement.
Here's the thing. If Colin Kaepernick, through the 11 games he started after they benched Blaine Gabbert for Colin Kaepernick, for all the people who've decided to rewrite history, the 11 games he started, if he took the first snap of every game and took a knee for a 5-yard loss and said, "Every first down I take in every football game from here on out, I'm taking a knee to fight systematic racism," I'd 100% agree with him being out of the league forever. You don't. This is not the time and place. You don't get to negatively affect what's actually happening in your job by doing it. But he wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was taking a knee on the sideline prior to starting work at the request of a Navy SEAL. Before that, he was sitting quietly, doing nothing, not talking about it. It's all been about press the whole time. He wasn't kneeling until he lost his job. Well, it was a preseason. If guys starting games in the preseason is the sign that they lost their job, how often does Tom Brady start preseason games? How often does Odell Beckham or Antonio Brown take all the snaps in a preseason game? The idea that if you think Colin Kaepernick, you got to pick this is like the Trump thing. People can't decide if Trump's an evil genius who's been colluding with Russia for fucking 3 decades, or he's a boob who doesn't know how climate change works. If you think Colin Kaepernick's an idiot, but you also think he had this long-running plan to start kneeling once he got benched and turn it into $100 million from the NFL.
You're saying you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
no one really thinks that, right? This was his plan all along.
Yeah. Well, one last thing. Does he play in the NFL again?
Probably not.
The two teams, ironically, that have popped up, have you seen?
No.
Are the Patriots and the Panthers, especially with him running the same style offense that Cam Newton runs. They really don't have any backups right now. The quarterback situation is a mess in Carolina.
Including with their starter.
The Patriots is an interesting one as Brady's backup.
Yeah. Because Brady's 41. And it's like, I'm not wishing bad health on Tom Brady at all, but like if something happens, you're going with Brian Hoyer? Everybody's talking about the business decision. He's affecting their bottom line. To which I repeat, again, the Redskins lost a starting quarterback while they were in first place this year. First. They were sole possession of first place in the NFC East with Alex Smith, who Colin Kaepernick in the past replaced and took a team to the Super Bowl. And when he went down, they immediately signed Mark Sanchez. And when he went down, they signed Josh Johnson. If you're talking about a business decision, they took their opportunity to host a first-round playoff game.
Millions of dollars.
And they lit it on fire.
Yeah.
They lit it on fire.
They lost millions of dollars.
Now, no one can say whether or not they would have, but they punted. They did not attempt. They did not put their best foot forward in getting Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson, who is older than Kaepernick, had been away from the game starting on an NFL football team for longer. was only successful in Jim Harbaugh's offense in college over a decade ago, you punted on your season. You punted.
Yeah, and we'll never know if Daniel Schneider made any attempt to get him.
Right.
We'll never know. That could have been things that were maybe in emails, in text messages. We'll never know. I'd assume he never plays again, and that could be part of it, maybe, right? Could that have been part of what's written in the collusion agreement, the settlement, whatever you want to call it? I don't know. And that also, one last note, that also could have played a part in the whole supposed $20 million American Alliance football.
Right.
I want people to remember that because people say, "Oh, he turned down $20 million."
Well, he didn't turn down $20 million.
Well, we don't
right?
know.
The rumor isn't even he turned down $20 million. It's that's what he wanted.
Well, it's important to note, and we discussed this on Saturday, that league seems to be some sort of farm system for the NFL. The fact that they play those games also on the NFL Network, makes me think. I don't think that was a viable possibility. Because the NFL is also connected to the A. They're not connected, but they are connected, clearly.
Right. The problem with the argument of the American Alliance of Football, or whatever the fuck it's called, is this. There's only two guys that are playing there. Guys who need money and guys who are trying to get into the NFL or back into the NFL.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick believes the only reason he wasn't in the NFL is because they were keeping him from being in the NFL. So who goes and gets CTE for $75,000 a year if they're not making the NFL no matter what? If you told half of the guys in the alliance right now, doesn't matter how well you do here, you're not going to the NFL. Hi, Christian Hackenberg, you're not going to the NFL no matter how well you play. I think a lot of those guys would consider not playing because what's $75,000 to them? What's $200,000 to them? They're only playing for an opportunity to get to the NFL. Colin Kaepernick was under the opinion, and the NFL agreed with him when they settled. That he was right. He was not in the NFL because they didn't want him, not because he wasn't good enough, not because he wasn't proven. Because again, if you're arguing that he's less proven than Josh Johnson, look deep inside and say, why are you saying that? If you think he's less, Mike Glennon got $15 million. People are like, oh my God, can you believe Colin Kaepernick wanted 20? Mike Glennon got $15 million.
But I think
Sam Bradford got 20. God, I don't know if I'd sign in an NFL team for less than $20 million if Sam Bradford's getting $20 million.
But it's an odd time we live in, Prano. This goes beyond sports. I think people get in crazy denials about facts.
Yes.
And again, we're not just talking Colin Kaepernick. You see this in politics. You see this in just realities. You can't – people like to just toss out blanket statements, and I love calling people out on it, whatever it is. And, you know, when people say, oh, this and this, and I'm like, show me some fucking stats.
Yeah.
Show me proven numbers. You can't just say, oh, this and this about this person or about living somewhere. You can't just throw things at people. You know,
so what's amazing?
It's like my family, dude.
We live in the age of information, but no one actually reads the information.
That's my point. I've been saying
the amount of people that I've had to have a conversation with, like, well, maybe if he didn't turn down contracts to be in the NFL, guys. If Colin Kaepernick had ever turned down a single contract from the NFL, he has no collusion case. There's no collusion case if you've turned down money.
Well, here's what happened. Just to kind of refresh everybody, just so everybody knows, these are the facts. The GM of the San Francisco 49ers met with him before, the 2016 season and said basically that they were going to...
This before 2017, correct.
Cut him, right?
Said, we're going to cut you.
Restructure his contract?
No, we're going to cut you. You can opt out or we're going to cut you.
But
we're not going to cut you until we have to.
Yes.
So you can opt out right now or we can cut you later. So he said, well, if I'm 100% getting cut later, I'm going to opt out now and play the field. See who wants to sign me.
Exactly.
Because apparently, according to everybody, John Elway wants to sign me. And he'll give me $7 million, right? Because that's what he wanted to offer me in a trade, which he never ended up pulling the trigger on. So he went out and he tested the market, and no one signed him. Now, Colin, you know, the the report was John Elway wants to give me $7 million. You guys are all telling me this. So why wouldn't I become a free agent right now? And then, lo and behold, no one offered him one single deal. If anybody had offered him one deal, you can't sue a league for colluding that no one wanted to give you a deal.
There's no case.
There's no case.
Exactly.
Well, what about the Dolphins who tried to give you a deal? Case over. Judge dismissed.
That's why.
Hi, I believe 32 teams colluded not to give me a job. The judge goes, the Miami Dolphins offered you $4 million, and you said no.
That's why Eric Reed's case is very interesting, because Eric Reed was with Kaepernick on the collusion case, but once the Panthers signed him, do you know this? He technically, because of what you're saying, had to drop out of the collusion part. Now, he's still going to see some money from this out-of-court settlement. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So he actually dropped out because someone signed him, which, like you said, eliminates collusion because someone signed him.
Right.
Anyway, I think we've said it all about this. We have our opinions. You guys probably have yours, but again,
we also have a lot of facts. That's the point. So if you want to argue things with us, bring facts.
But why argue at this point?
Don't bring opinion, because there are people that are still doing it.
But they're not going to change their mind. Like I said, like you just said, we live in an age where we have access to facts, statistics. People want to see what they want to see. It's almost like you're dating somebody. Let's say you're dating somebody, and he or she keeps cheating on you, and your friends are saying, "Yo, man, they keep cheating on you. Why do you keep going back?" You see what you want to see, and you're blind to the facts, and you keep going back. And to me, that's the scenario that's happening here with Kaepernick, with politics, with just blanket statements that people make of things you can look up.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do what you want, Joe. Again, it's a free country. You can go at people, but I'm definitely not going to personally. I don't know what else we can say. I think we've expounded on this in an eloquent way on this show for years, and I don't know what else to say to people. I'm personally not going to argue with you if you don't see it, and especially if you want to side with the owners, then we just disagree. I don't want to sign with the owners who literally want to bend me over at every football game I go to, at every new stadium they want to build. They don't care about you.
Well, like you said.
Just like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump don't care about you. It's the same fucking people.
Right. Look, my thing is, we've said it before. I've been doing comedy 20 years. At this point, I have nothing left. My resume has nothing on it. Okay? I'm not getting a job as a fucking anything at this point. This is my life. This is my livelihood. This is all I've got. This is probably all I'll ever have from here on out. Free speech is everything to me. As a comic and as a podcaster, I get paid to have an opinion. If you're anti people having an opinion in America, you're on the other side of the argument as me. And I, since this is all I've got, will fight you to the death. I will die fighting you. If you believe people should be punished in America and have their livelihood taken away from them for having an opinion, you could not be more my enemy. Plain and simple, the end. And if you claim you're for free speech, but it changes depending on who they are, what they're saying, and the color of the person saying it, you're truly my enemy in a fight to the death. The end. So you're not going to do it with people? I will. I will do it because it's all I got. Let's go. You are my enemy in life. I don't like you. I'll never like you. I'll argue with you forever. You should move out. You should go to North Korea, go somewhere where they control thoughts, speech. Leave. People keep saying, Joe, why don't you leave? I might. But one thing's for sure. I'm not leaving because I'm fighting for freedom. That's what this whole country is based on. I will fight you to the death if you're anti-free speech in America. The end. So my Twitter's open. Say your shit. I'll tell you why you're wrong. I'll tell you why you're not a patriot. I'll tell you why you are a racist. Let's go. Forever and ever and ever.
Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Okay, you have places to be.
Slub-a-dub hates America. That's the bottom line. Max Schenecker, you hate America. Clay Travis, you hate America.
Oh, he's calling out names now. Calling out names.
You hate America. It's the First Amendment, not the Second, not the Third, not the Fourth. You hate America. It's cool. You can hate America. You're free to hate America. Just own it. If you hate America, own that shit.
Again, I think people get very confused with freedom of speech and fake patriotism. Very confused. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay.
You better be higher ranked than a Navy SEAL if you want to tell me kneeling is disrespecting the flag. Show me it. Show me the medals. Show me your fucking working papers.
But that to me that doesn't matter. They can have their opinion.
Okay. But
you can have your opinion.
Hard for me.
See, this is where we disagree. It doesn't bother me if someone's offended by the kneeling. That doesn't bother me. Like you have again freedom of speech. You can have your opinion to be offended by that. That's not going to bother me. What again bothers me is you can't do one thing, but I can do
be
this.
offended all you want. Just don't tell me you're offended because you're a patriot and people who aren't offended aren't. Because fuck, man. Navy SEALs are pretty high. They're pretty good. They really put. When you talk about guys putting their life on their line, Jim A.B. somewhere sitting in a fucking room looking at radar screens. Navy SEALs are like in groups of 6, infiltrating fucking terrorist houses. Like you're gonna have to fucking come at me with a pretty high rank. Tell me you're fucking putting your life on the line more than a Navy SEAL for this country. Jeez.
Well, look, Joe, you have somewhere to be. It's 1:14.
I do. Got to wrap. You want to do some calls quick and get the fuck out of here?
You can handle a call?
Yeah.
You can handle a call?
Pick your favorite.
All right. What do we got here in today's calls? Oh, we have some good ones. Okay. Can we do this one without going too long? Let's see. Let's test it out.
Sorry, Ruther, this is Jew again. I just want to say, you have to fucking time on this thing for a minute.
Hold on a second. I think it's the other one. What is his name, by the way?
I don't know.
This is Jew?
Sorry, Ruther, this is Jew again.
This is Jew? I'm offended. Take his freedom of speech away. All right, let's get the actual call. Let's try another one.
What's up, fellas? This is Jew. Just listening to this Barry McConaughey or Barry McCocken or whatever his name is. Pretty funny guy. But about Brady. So I'm a Yankee fan, and I know Joe completely fucking hates Derek Jeter and thinks he's the most overrated player. So it just crossed my mind that is Tom Brady the Derek Jeter of football? Super clutch, has a lot of stats, but is more just, kind of what's really great about him. You guys are talking about the dink and dunk, but he does have the stats. I'm a Giant fan as well, so I don't hate Tom Brady because he's 0-2 against the Giants. But he's a winner, but is it Belichick? Is it the team? So I wonder, is Derek Jeter and Tom Brady the same fucking person?
Really simple. Tom Brady, my critique of Tom Brady is that people are talking about him being the greatest of all time. I think Tom Brady is great. I think Tom Brady is a fantastic player. I'm just trying to temper where people place him in the legacy of greatest of all time, because I think a lot of that is based on the number of championships he has and that he's been a part of the system. Tom Brady also has multiple Super Bowl MVPs, multiple league MVPs. He's been the best player on his team many, many years. He's the face of that team. Derek Jeter doesn't have a batting title. Derek Jeter doesn't have an MVP. Ever. Not one. Derek Jeter was never the best player on his team. They kept replacing the best player on his team every year. It was Giambi. It was A-Rod. It was Clemens. It was Pettit. It's a million fucking aces. A new 3-hitter every year. Every year. They're finding a new 3-hitter. Derek Jeter was never the best player, ever, in the league. Not once. Didn't win a batting title. Not once. Tom Brady is worlds better than Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
We're talking about Tom Brady, where he stands in the fucking. Derek Jeter's not a top 40 baseball player of all time.
Well, the MVP thing is huge, guys, and that cannot be understated. Again, and as I progress in watching sports throughout my life, you got to put more of an emphasis on that. We're talking a team accomplishment versus an individual accomplishment. So if Derek Jeter has never won an MVP, that's huge.
He was in the running once.
That's the league saying in his did he play 19 years? In his 19, 20 years, however many years Jeter played, he was never the best player in all of baseball.
And you can never, like, you if you do the advanced stats, you can say, hey, for these 8 seasons, Derek Jeter was statistically the worst defensive shortstop. You can never do that for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Ever.
Exactly.
You could say Tom Brady, maybe he wouldn't have been that good if he was on this team. He wouldn't have been that good if he was on that team. It's like, you can never say, hey, these 4 years, Tom Brady was actually dog shit hiding on a good team. You can't do that. He has multiple league MVPs and multiple Super MVPs. That's offensive to Tom Brady. And I like offending Tom Brady fans, but that's gross.
Yeah.
That's a character assassination.
Well, the hotline is 310-359-8365. Give us a ring. Prano has to go visit the Washington Memorial.
Yeah.
The monument, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You got to pay your respect.
That's right.
To the original George W.
That's right.
See what I did there? Guys, follow us on Twitter at The Dirty Sports. Like Joe said earlier, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
You never know. We might just pop up with random episodes.
And they might be gone just as fast.
Yeah. Follow me at Andy Ruther. And, again, if you use any of our promo codes, I will send you a package with 2 koozies. Or drop iTunes reviews, leave your Twitter handle, Instagram handle, blah, blah, blah. Again, we're on Spotify. Reiterate, we are on Spotify.
Yep. Shout out to Garnett, Canadian DirtBall, for the dope black on black Toronto Blue Jays hat. Love it. I was actually just taking stock of how many Major League Baseball hats I've like I said, I'll never have an NL East team, and I'll never have a Yankee or a Red Sox hat. But otherwise, it's nice to get another AL East team up in the mix. Joe Prano on Instagram, Fix Your Life on Twitter. Lots of shows coming up. Lots of good things happening. Lots of thusting behind the scenes. So follow all that stuff and come see a show.
Yeah.
I'll be in Alaska. Do we have Alaskan dirtballs?
We
I don't
have
know if we have Alaskan dirtballs.
Guys, Prano's right, though. The gram. You got to get on the gram. Follow us at The Dirty Sports on Instagram.
Yep.
It's all about that gram these days,
It really is.
That's it.
That's it.
We've done it. President's Day in the books. Guys, thanks for listening. Have a great week. We will see you on Thursday. And don't forget, condoms are for pussies.